Welcome, everybody, to episode number 63 of Real Sports Talk with Kenny Kluska. Of course, I'm your host, Kenny Kluska, here for another episode of the best talk show on podcast. So here we go, episode number 63, coinciding with the last week of the NFL season, week 17. A lot still, needed to be decided in this final week. We'll get into that shortly. First I'm going to start off though because today marks the last game of a legend. And, that's a word I won't use often, but this guy was definitely a legend. Charles Woodson, his team's currently playing right now against the Kansas City Chiefs, has announced that he will retire after the season. He's played 18 seasons in the NFL, was a Defensive Rookie of the Year in 1998, was a Defensive Player of the Year in 2009, and, just his accomplishments in the NFL are almost unparalleled. Very few have reached the numbers that he has. 65 career interceptions are tied for fifth in NFL history. His 11 touchdown returns on interceptions are tied for second with Darren Sharper, only one behind Rod Woodson's 12. His 13 overall defensive touchdowns tied with Rod Woodson and Darren Sharper for the most in NFL history. He made 9 Pro Bowl teams. His 254 career games are second all-time amongst defensive backs, only behind Darrell Green's 295. And, if you go by starts, he's only 7 behind Darrell Green for the all-time record. Green had 258. Woodson had 251. So, spanning over 20 years of excellent football, including his time with the Michigan Wolverines, former Heisman winner when he won the Heisman over Peyton Manning. So, he's going to go down as one of the best defensive backs to ever play the game. Was a Super Bowl champion as well as a member of the Green Bay Packers. So, congratulations to all the accolades for Charles Woodson. And thanks for allowing us to watch you perform at such a high level for over 2 decades. Still going strong. I believe he's 39 years old. Could play another season or 2 if he wanted to. He's going out on his terms, though. And, we just appreciate all you've done for the game. Also, college football. We now know who will partake in the national championship game. It will be the number 2 ranked Alabama Crimson Tide, who went 13-1 on the season, versus number 1 Clemson Tigers, 14-0 on the season. If they are able to defeat the Alabama Crimson Tide, they will become the first team in college football history to record 15 wins. And I believe their last national championship, I could be wrong, but I believe it was in 1982. So it's been over 30 years since they've won the national championship, yet to lose this season. That game will take place on January 11th, 8 days from now, Monday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. The game will take place at the University of Phoenix Stadium in Glendale, Arizona. Both those teams had convincing wins in the semifinal games. Alabama shut out Michigan State 38-0. Last year, Alabama was ousted in the semifinals. This year, they get past semifinals now to reach the finals. And, Oklahoma actually had a 17-16 lead over Clemson at the halftime of the Orange Bowl, the other playoff semifinal. Clemson outscored Oklahoma 21-0 in the second half to advance to the college football playoff title game, 37-17 victory. So let's just look, at some of the numbers between the two teams. For the point differentials this season, Alabama outscored their opponents by an average of 20.5 points per game, while Clemson had a 17.6 point differential. For defenses, Alabama's 13.9 points per game allowed was second in the FBS, and their 266.2 yards allowed per game was first. So outstanding defense, probably best in the country. Then you have Clemson, 20.8 points per game allowed, which was 19th, and 308.8 yards allowed per game, which was 7th. Look at the offenses. Alabama, 34.4 points per game, 32nd in the FBS, 423.8 yards per game, 51st. Definitely an above average defense, but of course their defense is their strength. Other than our Heisman winner, soon we'll talk about him. And Clemson, offense, 38.4 points per game, 16th in the nation, 512 yards per game, were 11th. And, this national championship game will also feature two of the top three Heisman Trophy vote getters. Of course, Derrick Henry, running back from Alabama, was the winner. What a great season he's having. 2,061 yards rushing and 25 rushing touchdowns. Then we got Deshaun Watson, quarterback of Clemson, finished third, only behind Henry, and Stanford running back Christian McCaffrey, who finished second and had a phenomenal bowl game, over 350 all-purpose yards. But Watson on the season, 3,699 passing yards and 31 passing touchdowns. Also has 1,032 rushing yards and 12 rushing touchdowns. So both guys have had phenomenal seasons this year and are the leaders on teams that will be playing for the national championship. So should be an exciting game. Hopefully it's more exciting than some of the other big games we have seen. I mentioned the scores of the two semifinal games. Neither one was particularly close. 20 points and 38-point differentials. Then we have the Fiesta Bowl. Ohio State won by 16, 44-28. In the Rose Bowl, Stanford won by 29 by defeating Iowa 45-16. And in the Sugar Bowl, Ole Miss dominated Oklahoma State, won by 28, 48-20. So, all the major bowl games, all of them were pretty much a rout. Closest one was the Fiesta Bowl, where Ohio State won by 16. So let's hope for a closer national championship. The two teams do seem to be fairly evenly matched. I believe the early line has Alabama favorite by a touchdown. Clemson was also underdog, though, against Oklahoma. I believe Oklahoma was favored by about 3.5. So, that's not going to bother Clemson. And, I'm definitely anticipating a well-balanced national championship game. Shouldn't be that high scoring. Maybe something like a 28-23 final score, maybe less points than that. Should be a good game, though, and, that will be my next show, which airs next Sunday, of course, will be one day prior to that national championship, so maybe I'll get more into that at the time. Also, I failed to mention at the beginning of the show, everyone knows I'm the biggest Knicks fan, basically, in the world, so, I currently have the game on mute right now. The game started at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time, playing the Atlanta Hawks. I believe they won 6 of 7, the Hawks. Second seed in the East. Right now, the Knicks are up 10 in the third quarter with 6:42 left. So, I'm great at multitasking, so, I could watch the game on mute and still do a well show. So, no need to worry about that. But as I always mention, don't think I have Tourette's if, I by accident start yelling because of something that happened during the game. But, of course, NFL Week 17 today. Every game was on Sunday, of course. Every week had Monday nights and Thursday nights. Not today. No Saturday game either. A bunch of 1 o'clock games. Let's get into those. And we'll start off with a team that all they needed to do was win and be in, but they did not win, as Rex Ryan's Buffalo Bills defeat the New York Jets 22-17. Of course, Rex Ryan was the long-time head coach with the New York Jets, got fired last season. Now the head coach of the Bills. His Bills will not make the playoffs at 8-8, but he did defeat the Jets in both meetings. Jets at 10-6. Will not make the playoffs. Ryan Fitzpatrick has had an excellent season for the Jets, broke the franchise record with 30 touchdown passes on the season, but he threw interceptions on each of the last 3 drives. Finished 16-37 for 181 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. So, despite having one of their most successful seasons in recent memory, the Jets will be sitting at home, and that is because the Pittsburgh Steelers were able to defeat the Cleveland Browns 28-12. Steelers also have a 10-6 record, but own the tiebreaker over the Jets. Browns fall to 3-13. I believe they will get the second pick in the NFL draft. Ben Roethlisberger, 24 of 36, 349 yards passing, 3 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. And Antonio Brown, another great game for him, of course. 13 catches, 187 yards, and a passing touchdown. The Miami Dolphins defeated the New England Patriots 20-10. Disappointing season for the Dolphins, 6-10. Patriots at 12-4. They do have a first round bye. A win would have clinched home field through the AFC playoffs. Instead, they are in wait and see mode as they need the Broncos to lose to the Chargers in order to still secure that first round bye. That game is currently going on right now. Ryan Tannehill for the Dolphins went 25 of 38 for 350 yards and 2 passing touchdowns. The New Orleans Saints, Sean Payton has been rumored, to possibly be taking one of these head coaching openings that will, most likely open up tomorrow, as many coaches are expected to be fired or resigned. Gets a win for the Saints in the last game of the season, 20-17 over the Falcons. Saints finish at 7-9, and the Falcons, after a 5-0 start, end on a sour 3-8 note. Yes, they are still the only team to have defeated the Panthers, who are currently playing right now. But, at 8-8, definitely had high expectations after that 5-0 start. So, just by beating the Panthers doesn't make it a successful season at all. Drew Brees finished 32 of 42 for 323 yards and a touchdown. The Cincinnati Bengals could possibly get a first round bye if the Broncos lose. They defeated the Ravens 24-12. Bengals finished season 12-4. Ravens very disappointing, 5-11. Had a lot of injuries, including the Joe Flacco and Steve Smith. AJ McCarron, 17-27, 160 yards and 2 touchdowns. Now it's a matter of, will Andy Dalton be healthy enough to come back for the playoffs for the Bengals? Of course, it would be a big help if the Broncos were to lose, and they would have an extra week off in order for Andy Dalton to heal his finger on his throwing hand. They're definitely rooting for the Chargers right now, as are the Patriots. Steelers, I said that already, sorry. Texans, 30-6 win over the Jaguars, and your Houston Texans are your AFC South champions. Finished with a 9-7 record, and it was only 2 weeks ago that the Jaguars still had hopes at possibly winning the division. Instead, they lose their last 2 games, finish at 5-11. They do have some good pieces, though. Blake Bortles didn't have a great game today, but he had a very solid season. For the Texans, Brian Hoyer came back from injury, concussion, 25 for 40, 249 passing yards, a touchdown, and an interception. J.J. Watt, possibly the favorite to, win once again Defensive Player of the Year, which he won last season as well. Finished on a high note, 3 sacks and a fumble recovery. The Indianapolis Colts were able to defeat the Titans 30-24, but at 8-8, were heavy favorites going into the season to win the AFC South. A lot happened. Definitely need help on the offensive line as well. Andrew Luck missing about half the season definitely didn't help their cause. Titans fall at 3-13, and I do believe that